Okay, I'm gonna put you live.
We are the show you want to know. It's time to talk to you.
All right, folks, good afternoon and welcome to the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show here on AM 830 WCRN. And don't forget, we're also live streaming on the TuneIn app. That means you can take us anywhere. If you don't have the app, download it in a couple of seconds. Punch in WCRN, and there you are. Also, hit that like button or this favorite and save it so it's easy to get to. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, and you can reach us over the next hour at 508-871-7000. That's right. Our call-in line is 508-871-7000. Our text line is up and running at 617-297-8388, or email text Joe in the radio at gmail.com. Appears on the same screen in real time. If you want to reach the show off air, as many of you like to send things, articles or something you want me to see, use the Joe M Show at gmail.com, or most people use the Messenger app on Facebook page. Fine. Our social media handle is Joe Mangi Show, Mangi, Joe Mangi Show. So that's fine. We are streaming. So if you want to watch it on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, all that, you can do that. I'm broadcasting from different location today, not at the main studio. So from the Cameo studio, so you can check that out as well. 508-871-7000. All right, this just in minutes before we were ready to come on air, folks. The story is the guardsman to save lives. He's been found. The body has been found, and that's of 22-year-old specialist Bishop Evans. So he's a national Texas National Guard soldier, and he went in. He was doing what he was doing. Right, this was all part of Operation Lone Star, which Governor Abbott had to take it upon himself because the President of the United States of America has failed tremendously in his duties concerning the border. One of the most fundamental responsibilities of a president is to secure the nation, to provide for its security. That means a secure border, a defined border, a sovereign border. He didn't do that. He's not doing that. As to why and what end, I have no idea. Is it really as simple as to fill the country up with illegals that he figures will vote Democrat eventually, or change the laws as we see being done in some major cities so that illegals actually can vote in local elections? And how far of a jump is that to vote in federal elections? But I digress. This 22-year-old specialist, a Texas National Guard soldier, saw two people. At the time, he wasn't seeing illegal or legal immigrants. He wasn't seeing anybody but human beings in distress. That's what he saw. He didn't know their status. He didn't care what their status were. They were in trouble. And like so many people who go into the armed services, go into first responder positions, firemen, police, EMTs, and paramedics, they care about people, in their DNA is such that they help people. That's what they feel they're there for. And they are consistently putting their well-being ahead of others. And we see this time and time again. So he's only 22 years old, a few years out of high school, guys. So when he went in, the Rio Grande, there was a rip current near the city of Eagle Pass. Now that borders Mexico. And like I said, part of this crackdown plan the governor has, which he shouldn't have to have, but he had to, because Joe Biden and the administration were falling short. And what does he think when he sees these people in distress? Who later, by the way, we find out are drug dealers, right? The scum of society returning returning to the United States to inflict more harm on our citizens. And what does he think? Well, I'm going to take off this body armor. I'm going to get rid of my radio, probably his wallet, and I'm going to jump into this raging river to save these two people. I have no idea who they are. I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know their intentions. He doesn't know anything about them except they're fellow human beings and they're in trouble. He loses his life as a result. And he did it for these two people who were two illegals and they were trafficking drugs. This is a powerful characterization of the absolute abdication of sovereignty, of our sovereign borders, of the consequences of innocent human beings. And now we have this young 22-year-old patriot. And you know what bothers me? How much have you heard about this in the mainstream media? Have you heard Joe Biden take a moment to address this story from when he went missing? He's supposed to speak at something later today. I think somebody that won something in Florida or whatever. So I'll be interested to watch, to find out. So does he take the appropriate time and show some respect to the loss of a serviceman? He hasn't done that, really, the way he should have done it for the 13 soldiers lost in Afghanistan. The White House, will they recognize this young man? Or are they more worried about Governor Abbott and the policies of this? Are they more worried about drawing attention to what Governor Abbott had to do with this Lone Star policy? Will once again the politics, pure politics of it, get in the way of what is right and what should be done in regards to the loss of life of this 22-year-old specialist? Now, he can count on the mainstream media because they're not going to cover this the way it should. They're not going to point out that Joe Biden is not paying his respects, is not taking the appropriate time. As a matter of fact, the mainstream media coverage from Friday to Sunday, and I'm talking ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, basically zero coverage. Zero coverage except for ABC, who had 20 seconds. 20 seconds of this young man. That's all. That's all the coverage mainstream media did. And that is horrible. And the White House is counting on that. They're counting on that. They're counting on that because they know the sheeple that watch these networks believe everything they say. And they believe everything they say about the other networks, about the Newsmaxes and the Foxes and all of that. And they're counting on that. Our border is an embarrassment to the world. They are coming from all over the world to come in through the southern border because they know it's open. And the fact that Title 42 is about to disappear has sent ripple effects through the border travel agencies, also known as coyotes and the cartel. So the White House counting on that. Border is an embarrassment in the world stage. The White House should be ashamed on many fronts. And this whole thing, I stand with Texas. I stand with Texas. I stand with Governor Abbott's attempt to do for his state and the citizens of his state that elected him, he swore an oath to, doing the best that he can to secure. And even though we've talked about the fact that every state is a border state, because these illegals who enter They check in. We have well
You
established
got Mark on the line.
that they have been distributed throughout the country. They pretty much ask where they want to go, and they go. They're given that little report, not a peer. They just give a little slip of paper that says you need to report. Within 60 days, at your convenience, wherever you want, you report. Meantime, that little golden piece of paper, no, it's not gold, obviously, folks, but it's worth a pound of gold to them because it allows them to legally stay in the United States of America, and it allows them to work in the United States of America. And I'll say this, that majority of these people who are coming over, that's all they want to do. They want a better life. They want to come here. They want, excuse me, still battling off a cold over the weekend, folks. They want a better life, and they will adhere to the laws once they get here. They'll get a job. They'll pay their bills. They'll keep their noses clean, and they're great for the country. But the problem is the system and how they get in here. All right, let me go to the phones real quick. 508-871-7000. Join the conversation. Mark is waiting patiently. Hey, Mark, thanks for joining us.
Is President Zelensky.
Sure.
I went on to his Forbes.
Yeah.
Just look up his net worth. This is according to Forbes. $596 million.
Yeah.
44 years of age.
Yep. Hey, he's a brilliant entertainer and businessman.
They listed his top 7 investments. Number 1 is Saudi Aramco.
All right, Mark, you can hold
Second
on, but
is
I'm
Apple.
out of time. I'm being told by Jazz that I need to break for the break. It's noon clock. You're welcome to hold over. Folks, the Joe Mangiacotti Show, AM 830 WCRN, 508-871-7000 if you'd like to join the conversation.
Ninety-three percent of adults listen to the radio each week.
I'm going to.
Okay. I still think what it is because my system, in order for me to stream, I'm sending everything that comes through down the board so that the streaming system, my online board or production studio, if you will, gets all the audio. Now, if I pot down the Lucy pot, I can hear it, but it's not feeding the system. So they won't hear his call. Like I did it at first, and I didn't see it registering. And I don't think there was some but if he's coming down the line to me, all right. Yeah. Well, the other thing too is if you take him out of program and I hear him through my board and it's going through, it's going to go back down Lucy and it will go out on the air because you have Lucy in program. You see what I'm saying? Okay.
Wedding Day Special.
This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show. We are the show you want to know.
All right, folks. Welcome back to the second segment of the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Box Drop Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. I'm Joe Mangiacotti. To join the conversation, very simple to do. Dial 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. Hey, we're live streaming on my social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube channel, the Joe Mangiacotti Show, LinkedIn, and even Twitch TV at Joe M Show. Jazz, is Mark still with us?
Yes, he is.
Hey, Mark. So, want to finish show. So, President Zelensky is worth a lot of money. He was a very successful businessman and entertainer. You know, he did that whole movie about becoming president, all that. He had the TV shows worth several $100 million. Probably has a very diverse.
596.
There you go. Okay, that's
according to Forbes.
$500 million plus. Awesome for him. Obviously, he's an intelligent man. We're seeing that as president. And you were about to say his biggest investment or an investment was in what?
According to Forbes, he has $60 million in stocks. The top 7 of his investments in stocks is Saudi Aramco. You know who they are.
Yeah.
Apple.
Okay.
Microsoft. Meta.
Yeah.
Formerly Facebook. Mr. Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Alphabet. Amazon. And number 7 is Tesla.
Okay.
So he's been a pretty busy little bee in his 44 years.
Uh-huh.
Some Ukrainian comedy show. Done pretty well for himself.
He has. I don't begrudge him that. I don't know if that's what you're doing. I have no idea. But look, I've always said this. I'm a capitalist. I think you take whatever your skills are, take it as far as you can take it. If you're a model, kill it while you can. If you're a quarterback, kill it while you can on the field. If you're a comedian, do your thing. If you're a great businessman, do your whatever it is, whatever your talent is, you're allowed to use it and capitalize on it. And the guy made a lot of money. He's a smart guy, not only and obviously a good entertainer. He's had these hit movies and shows over there. But he's a good businessman. Now, as far as those investments, I don't know if you're saying this is good or bad, but we also have to think about this, Mark, is a lot of at that level, a lot of people aren't doing their own management. Look at Florida. All of a sudden, Ron DeSantis discovers that Florida owns a great deal of stock in Twitter. Now, did Ron DeSantis, as governor, go out and buy it?
The only thing I'm thinking about is where did he get the initial money to invest? We're talking almost $600 million.
Mark, he was in entertainment.
Where did he get that kind of dough?
He was in entertainment for 20-something years. These guys, when you
in
sign
Ukraine?
Yeah. When you sign I don't care if you're in Ukraine or UK, Japan, China, when you sign and you have a hit show, you're becoming tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions. I mean, look at the ridiculous money that the Jerry Seinfelds of the world have. Even Donald Trump.
Will Smith is on, I looked it up on Forbes. He's only worth $350 million.
Okay.
This guy's almost worth double what Will Smith is.
Okay. I don't know what to do with that other than he did. Are you suggesting there might be something nefarious, that he had a big cash payoff from oligarchs or something?
I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just saying is that it's very interesting.
It is. Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a further. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for the call. I wouldn't mind seeing, a further breakdown of that. Maybe not at this second. I think the guy has a lot more to handle right now. But the fact that he's been able to accumulate almost a $600 million worth, it's not surprising in the entertainment industry. That's all I'm saying is I'm never surprised to find out. Look at Michael Jackson. His estate made billions after his death. He's actually worth like 20 times more after he's gone than he was when he was alive towards the end of his life. And it's just the way that works. So it's not surprising there. And the fact that he has stock in Apple and Meta, it still makes me chuckle. But all of those companies, like I said, at that level, when you have hundreds of millions of dollars in your portfolio and your wealth, how many people doing that are actually managing their own money? A lot of it is given to money managers, which kind of ties into, because we've been talking about how they play a role with this whole Elon Musk purchase, because people like from Vanguard and stuff, right? These largest hedge funds, that's not their money. They have thousands and thousands of people who have entrusted them with their retirements and their investments to manage it, like I made reference to. Ron DeSantis, he didn't know that Florida owned Twitter. You think when he ran for governor, that one of the first things that were presented to him is, oh, by the way, Florida has a huge investment in Twitter? No. Twitter got into the news. It was part of it. He said, hey, what's the deal with where's Florida's money? That's when they find out. So the fact that President Zelensky has money in all of these corporations, they're the same corporations anybody worth hundreds of millions of dollars have money into. But I get your point. It is. I agree 100%. It's very interesting. All right, so just finish up on that. My prayers and thoughts are, of course, with the family of Specialist Bishop Evans, the 22-year-old lost in the attempt to save the lives of two human beings illegally crossing the Rio Grande, all part of Governor Abbott's Operation Lone Star. And I go back to the fact that the politics here and the stupidity of this is that when Biden shut down the wall on like day one, sworn in, goes through the process, and one of the first things he does, executive order, excuse me, folks, is he cancels the wall. My apologies. He cancels the wall and stops the construction. Millions of dollars in equipment and so forth just rotting in the desert. Governor Abbott says that the state of Texas will buy that from the federal government, because these aren't just chain links and poles. This is a very, in the words of a former president, a very fantastic, a very, very, very good wall. And it's very sophisticated with sensors and infrared. We'll buy it. We'll continue to build it in Texas. And the Biden administration says no, out of spite, as far as I'm concerned. Convince me otherwise. Says no, out of spite. So no, they won't sell it. That's that. Okay. Won't sell it. So what do? He then does, he goes along, because all of the border, a lot of it are ranchers and farmers, right? Who happen to back up to the border of Mexico. Texas residents. So he goes along to the owners of that property, and he gets their consensus and permission to actually put guardsmen there and eventually put a border, a barrier, a wall, something there. And they all say, hey, absolutely, no problem. Great idea. Let's do that. So that is something he's working on. All right, let me shift over, because Elon Musk, just again, shortly before airtime today, it was announced that the board seems to be coming around, and that a $46 billion purchase price is probably going to happen. They're getting to the point where it will sell to Elon Musk. He secured the financing. He put that together pretty quick. And again, I'm not fooling myself, nor should you fool yourself, that this isn't a business transaction and a smart move, and that Mr. Musk will make a great deal of money. Don't be that naive, folks. Of course it is, and he will, but he also is doing this out of the principle of free speech. And I believe that. I have no questions about that. And the thing about this is, he's saying that the board and the company has failed to adhere to free speech principles, and that fundamentally undermines democracy. And I'm sure the left does not like to hear that, especially those terminologies, because they're trying to
You got
adopt
2 minutes.
those phrases, those terminologies for themselves. Right? Threat to democracy. How many times do we hear the left tell us what a threat to democracy is all the time? I think the decision is obvious for the board, for the shareholders to take the money and run. I think this is a win for capitalism and democracy. But what will he actually do? What will he actually do? I hope that he gives the power back to the people. And I mean that stop with the shadow banning and the censoring and give it back to the people. And like everybody's always had their entire life when it comes to free speech, you don't have to stay in the town square and listen to somebody in a soapbox. You didn't have to buy a newspaper whose editorials you didn't like. You didn't have to leave your TV channel on a news station you didn't like. You always have had the option to change the channel, walk away, not buy that newspaper. Always have had it. Let's put that power back into the hands of the people who can decide who they follow, what they see on their feed.
1 minute.
You don't have to do what everyone else does. You don't have to follow that. You're not forced into that. So you got to think about your sphere of influence. But if he can put that on a level playing field where you don't shadow ban conservatives and selectively edit news stories, I'm all for that. All right, folks, we're going to wrap up this segment of the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. Take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side as we continue with the Joe Mangiacotti Show. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, 508-871-7000. Join the conversation.
Time now for the forecast from the Boston Independence Group Weather Center. Call Jerry Doherty today at 877-772-1776. Retirement is
Joe,
within
when we
reach.
come back,
Yeah,
you've got
meteorologist
Ken on the
Jason Brewer.
line.
Here's the latest
All
Boston
right,
25
cool.
weather
Thank
on
you.
Radio 830 WCRN. We got a pretty nice Monday out there. Partly sunny, milder, climbing into the lower and middle 60s. Then tonight, the clouds thicken up. Lows will land in the 40s. Tomorrow, we'll plan for some showers, mainly in the afternoon, on into the early evening, with highs near 60. I'm Jason Brewer. You can hear Boston 25 live for the morning drive weekdays on AM 830 WCRN.
Dr. Satya Mitra has journeyed from a childhood of poverty and homelessness to a successful career as a financial advisor, motivational speaker, and community leader. Now inspired by his guru, he uses his experiences to positively affect the lives of underprivileged people. We strive to house our blindness, poverty, homelessness, female empowerment, and good citizenship initiatives within the Joy Guru Humanitarian Center. If you wish to contribute or know deserving persons or initiatives that could use our assistance, please contact us at 508-641-8441.
There's no better way to celebrate beautiful weather than cruising the great outdoors. Hi, I'm Paul Kowalas, president of Linders. We offer the area's largest selection of late model, certified pre-owned vehicles, most still under factory warranty.
Like a 2019 Infiniti QX50 Pure with only 15,000 miles for just $37,995.
Celebrate the arrival of spring with a quality pre-owned vehicle from Linders on Granite Street in Worcester. Linders.com.
Linders, the intelligent alternative.
Focus on your health with the Frankie Boyer Show, weekdays at 2 on Full Service Radio, AM 830 WCRN.
Fresh and familiar New England hits every evening at 7 on Full Service Radio, 830 WCRN.
This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show. We are the show you want to know.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second half of the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. Don't forget, we are always live streaming on the TuneIn app 24/7. Whether you're listening to me or you're listening to North Star Music overnight, we're always there. Just punch in WCRN, take us anywhere. To join the conversation, 508-871-7000, 508-871-7000. Our text line is 617-297-8388. And if you missed it on, I think Friday, I said it, going forward, it'll be Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday, as well as 6 a.m. on Sunday morning with the Sunday morning talk block. Myself, Mike Wade, Peter Blute, but I'll join Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 1 o'clock. So that's the new schedule for now, folks. Before I go on to our next topic, let's go to the phones. Ken has been waiting through the break. Hey, Ken, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Joe.
What's happening?
I'd like to bring up the whole Title 42.
Yeah, the I think what is the anticipated date? May 21st, I think.
Yeah, and this is something that just a few months ago we knew nothing about. And I think it's kind of a shell game because bottom line is they should be enforcing the border. It should have nothing to do with COVID.
Agree. But at the time, President Trump was, researching and using every tool, right? Remember, because he had everybody against him. Whatever, if it was a Trump suggestion or idea, Ken, it sucked. It was horrible. It was the end of democracy as we know it. And here was this Title 42 has been sitting there. It's not like Trump got this done or made up or pushed it through Congress. It's always been on the books. So he utilized it the way it should be utilized, exactly for the purpose it is. And that's great. But I get your point, and I agree 100%, is we don't really need the Title 42 because the law already is you can't illegally enter the country. We already have immigration laws. We have a border. We are a sovereign nation. And I think that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, and before COVID, he had worked out the situation in 2019 with Mexico, and as a consequence, significantly reduced the level of immigration. Yeah. It seems like Title 42 is an extra tool, but not nearly as important as making use of the 2019 things that he did.
Absolutely. And now Governor Abbott has worked out a deal with one of the bordering states in Mexico that they're going to detain people on their side and have them wait. So, I mean, here we got governor, right, having to do whatever he can within his scope. And, you've got Jen Psaki up there saying that the border security clearly rests with the federal government. Well, Jen, then why aren't you actually doing the job? Why isn't the federal government performing its duties? If you're telling us that it rests clearly in the responsibility and purview of the federal government, why isn't the federal government doing their job?
It just seems that what they had in 2019 was dealing with it, and the courts then tried in the middle and said, yeah, you have to do that. I don't know how the court had that power, but, Trump laid out the path. The left wants to do everything the opposite. 100%. And if it just opens the borders, floods us with drugs and all sorts of problems, they don't care. That's fine with them.
Well, the court just said recently they said, look, you have to go back to this wait Mexico thing, but they really haven't done it. They said, okay, but this continued to happen, right? The courts continue to make these decisions, and the Biden administration doesn't really follow it. They drag their feet, they ignore it, and nobody follows up on that. Again, I like everything else with this administration or Democrats being covered in the news. I go back to the media, continuously plays their role as buffer, coverer, redirector, sleight of hand. They don't do their job when they should do their job. Okay, and I think that if
Joe, we've been dealing with this most of our lives. It's gotten really, really bad. They refuse to do the job, So that's why you're here. Tell the public this is what we need to address. Let's do it now.
100%. 100%.
Joe, you've got another call.
And we're just going to call our opposition wall because that's what they are.
Yeah, I agree. And it's very frustrating because I've been doing this for 3+ decades, talking about this, both sides, not always. I don't come on here as a cheerleader for Republicans by any means. I'm a common sense, middle of the road guy, but I'm telling you, I can't find any common sense on the policies of the Democrats at any time. Whether you're talking, Elizabeth Warren coming out just now about more money after she's, we screwed everything up with this $1.9 trillion disguised as a COVID package. We didn't need that money. Whatever it is, we got to keep the word out there. Ken, being told I have another call, so I'm going to have to hold you there, folks. 508-871-7000. No problem. Who do we got, Jazz? Who's on?
We have a Daryl from Fall River who wanted to talk about Elon Musk again.
All right, Daryl from Fall River. Hey, Daryl, you're on. Thanks for calling. Are you a first-time caller?
I am a first-time caller myself.
Awesome. Well, welcome. What's up with Elon Musk? What do you think of this? Is a good thing? You think this is gonna a good thing he's doing with Twitter? What's your position?
Well, my position's kind of interesting and unique when I think I'm a stand-up comedian. The craft is easy for me. That's my tagline. You haven't heard of me before, though?
All I know is your first name, Daryl. What? Give me your full name.
Oh, Daryl Craft. Daryl Craft. That's why I say the craft is easy for me.
I got it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You're a stand-up. My sister was a stand-up.
Oh, very, very cool. Very cool. Part of the brethren of comedians. I'm sure even if we haven't met before, we have a camaraderie, her and I.
Yeah. And I'm sure you and I have stood in the same clubs at one point or another. Maybe even together. Maybe even at the same time.
Tough to say about clubs-wise. But yeah, I am a touring level stand-up. When I see this Elon Musk thing, they say that apparently he's going to buy it for $240 or less, or characters, right?
Yeah. Okay, that's funny.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. And I hope he doesn't turn it into the Boring Company, number 2.
Well, first of all, I don't think that anything Elon Musk's involved with is ever going to be boring. And I think
well, it is. His other company is called the Boring Company.
His other company is called the Boring Company?
Yeah, that's one of his companies. It's called the Boring Company. So that's okay. That joke went over your head.
Yeah, because I didn't know that. I'm thinking SpaceX and Tesla.
But he's gonna make a bunch of symbols. You can use symbols because remember he named his kid with the symbols or whatever.
Yep. Okay. So you're testing out some material today, aren't you? Right?
Oh, guilty as charged.
Okay.
No, you got me. Yeah, I struggle to get up.
Okay.
I struggle to get up at the shows because of cancel culture and things like that, and so I thought it's a good time to get out there and get some of my jokes out to a cool, good, larger audience.
Well, I got to tell. I mean, nothing. I think nothing you've said here, I think, would ever come close to cancel culture yet. But other than it would be if you showed support for Musk at all, you'd be a target for cancel culture. Because if you showed any support, say for President Trump's policies, you were a bad, evil person instantly.
I do show support for Musk. I show him on Twitter. I reply to all of his tweets every time, and I say, Mr. Musk, I love you so much. And I make fun of. I don't like to make fun of people like him because he's in power, and it's not about comedians aren't supposed to speak this sort of comedy truth to powerful people. They're supposed to speak it to people below them. So that's what I generally do. And that's why I get the cancel culture.
All right. Well,
generally.
Daryl,
so thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
And I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, Daryl. Thank you very much for the call. First time caller. I would take one, well, more than one, but I'm going to take this issue with what you did say, Daryl, about the job of the comedian is not to make fun of or take issue with powerful people, but you're saying you should punch down. I don't agree with that at all. Matter of fact, I don't think you should ever punch down. Comedian, president, senator, businessman, father, mother, brother, sister. You should never punch down. Let's face it. When you're punching down, that's why. It's a major lack of character. You should always be punching up. I think it's the role of the comedians to go after what everyone else sees. I think it's the role of the comedian to say the obvious in a humorous way, to use humor to point out the hypocrisies and the lies and the double standards. Or at least that's what they used to do until these jamokes from like Stanford Law and stuff got this into their heads that they are right about everything. And if you don't agree with them, you don't even have the right to speak about it. Look what they did at ironically, the Forum on Free Speech. And Judge Jean Pirro brought something up, and I think it was that they should never pass the ethics board on that. All right, but we got to take a break. I don't know how far we are from it, but we'll return on the other side for our...
You still got a minute, sorry.
Yeah, I think that jumped in quick, right? Cool. So, like she
just
said...
played automatically a
Yeah,
little bit.
just keep that part down till we're ready. So, folks, the point is that she made a good point, that these people who want to be lawyers and possibly judges should make it past that ethics board, right? Because you do your thesis and you get your degree and you defend it, but there's also, you go in front of a committee, that they should never be allowed to make it to lawyers, much less judges. But I think, Daryl, that you should be punching up, never punch down. I think that's not a good character to have, in my opinion. Punch up all the time. That's how we do that, and that's how that should be done. All right, folks, we will take a break here and return with the fourth and final segment of the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show from AM 830 WCRN, 50,000 watts of power coming your way. And, of course, live streaming on the TuneIn app all the time. Back in a few, folks.
When the forgotten poor are in need of healing, they wait for a ship unlike any other. Mercy Ships, a floating hospital staffed by volunteers, heroes of mercy who donate their time to save lives.
Every human has the right to have a place at the table of the human race.
If you could just see the smiles that you get when lives have been changed, then it would make it all worth it.
To learn more about Heroes of Mercy, go to mercyships.org.
Hi, I'm Lee Gaudette from the Gaudette Insurance Agency, a third-generation company located in Whitensville, with branch locations in Grafton, Southborough, Westborough, and Shrewsbury. We are a full-service independent agency offering all aspects of insurance to businesses, industry, and individuals. Stop in and see us at any of our locations for a free assessment of your insurance needs. Also, listen to WCRN.
Hey, this is Noel from Computer Hospital at 653 Chandler Street in Worcester. COVID-19 is upon us, and the Computer Hospital is here to help with your home office as well as keeping your PCs up and running so you can stay in touch with family and friends. Our hours are Monday through Friday, 9 to 7, Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 6. Call me at 508-314-1391. The Computer Hospital, 508-314-1391. 653 Chandler Street in Worcester. 508-314-1391.
Hey everybody, Ryan Maloney here from It's the Liquor Talking, letting you know that you can hear us Saturday mornings at 11, but also at our new time, weeknights, right after Howie Carr at 7 p.m. It doesn't stop there. Randall and I are going to stick around and host North Star Music after the show. So join us for New England's only show about wine and spirits, and then pour yourself a glass of your favorite adult beverage. Enjoy Randall and I as we listen to your favorite music on the North Star.
This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show. We are the show. It's time to talk
All right, folks, welcome back to the fourth and final segment of the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Boxtrap Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. I'm Joe Mangiacotti. You can join the conversation at 508-871-7000. 508-871-7000. We always love those first-time callers, Jazz, right? We always like that. It reminds us that there are so many more people listening than we realize, and it's always good to hear from the new first-time callers. So if you're ready to call for the very first time, love to hear it. Don't wait till the end of the show either, folks. 508-871-7000. And don't forget, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays now at 1 o'clock, the Joe Mangiacotti Show. Eric Sherwin. Eric Sherwin. Remember that name because more stories are breaking with the Hunter Biden situation. Still trying to figure out, guys, what's going on here. Are they ramping up and speeding up what's going on with Hunter? Does the New York Times officially recognize that the laptop story is real? And again, it still bothers me every time that we phrase that, or we have to make reference to that as if the New York Times, the arbitrator of truth for us, that would be a scary thing. I think we need to stop thinking in those terms because a perfectly good media outlet, an old newspaper, one of the oldest newspapers in the country, broke the story. And everybody, including the digital giants, came and swung into effect to block the story. And we can play the butterfly effect all we want, the what ifs and what would have happened. I think we all have a pretty good idea of what would happen if the media actually did their job, if they were doing their job the entire time, how things would have turned out. But Eric Sherwin was president of Hunter Biden's now defunct investment firm. Now, remember that firm? He goes on Air Force Two with Daddy to China, comes back with $1.5 billion with a B, $1.5 billion to put under management. That's a lot of money. We were talking about Vanguard and money managers a little while ago. So think about that. The Chinese decided to entrust $1.5 billion to Hunter to manage for them. Now, talk to anybody in the money management industry, right? These financial planners, heads of hedge funds. To get any money out of China is huge. To get that kind of money is unheard of. Go up and down Wall Street. Well, the thing about this is he returns with a huge amount of money to put under management, which means a huge amount of commission because that's how they're paid, right? They're paid based on a percentage of what they're managing. So that's a way to funnel some money again into the Hunter Biden sphere. But the logs show that Sherwin made 19 visits to the White House and other official locations between 2009 and 2015, including a sit-down with Biden himself, and that's on the New York Post. The logs also reveal that Sherwin met with Biden in the West Wing on November 17th, 2010, when he was president of the now defunct Rosemont Seneca Partners. So if we go back to all of those times that Joe Biden said on the campaign trail and as president, and Peter Doocy asked him straight up about knowing and associating and dealing with any of Hunter Biden's business associates or partners, he said absolutely not. He straight up lied about it. Now, the logs appear to reveal that Sherwin met with close aides of both Joe and Jill Biden when Hunter was striking multi-million-dollar deals in foreign countries such as China. He also was the closest of Hunter Biden's business partners in that he has personal access to the Biden's tax filings. So we go back to the hard drive on his laptop, which he abandoned at that Delaware computer shop in April of 19. And it reveals emails there that showed that Sherwin's intimate involvement with the Biden's personal taxes. Now, when you are a mortgage broker or a mortgage originator or a tax preparer and you have access to people's taxes, you have the most intimate financial details of a person's life or of a family for that matter. You have all of their assets and incomes and deductions, expenses. That's just the way it works, folks. And just months after Hunter Biden co-founded Rosemont Seneca, Sherwin met with Evan Ryan. That's the vice president's assistant for intergovernmental affairs and public liaison. That was in October of 2009. And they met in the Eisenhower Executive Office building. That's where the vice president's office is based. Right? The vice president has the Eisenhower building and he has the Naval Observatory where they live. That's how we do it. Even though this president has a White House to live in, spends over a quarter of his time at his Rehoboth Beach house. Well, the emails revealed by Hunter's laptop show that Ryan received requests from a guy named Chris Sloan, who's director of government relations for the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades. And he was advocating for the appointment of a union lawyer named Craig Becker to the National Labor Relations Board. He asked then Vice President Biden to press Barack Obama on the issue. And Hunter was CC'd on that email. He says, thanks, Chris. I'll forward this one. Sounds like it might be a gatekeeper position here somewhere. Well, Obama appointed Becker to the job through a recess appointment 1 month later. Now, the recess appointment, to refresh your memories, is when the Congress is out. President can do a recess appointment. That's without the oversight and the questioning and the hearings. It's just it's done. It's another one of those little loopholes that, exist. Get around it. Something that's done when the Congress is out, media is slow. President does a recess appointment. Nobody really pays attention to it. Nobody asks a lot of questions. Now, this resulted in fierce protests from Republicans because they know what a recess appointment is and usually why they are used. Now, Vice President Biden arrived in China 3 days or for 3 days of a high-level meeting with Chinese leadership in August of 2011, and Sherwin was in a meeting in the West Wing just 3 days later with Kellen Suba, an executive assistant to the VP. And Hunter Biden also dined with Chinese business tycoon Che Feng, who is identified in the hard drive with the emails as super chairman, right? Remember that? When this broke, we had these little nicknames. H is holding 10 for the big guy in super chairman. And at one time, I thought maybe super chairman might have meant Joe Biden, but then that didn't make sense for the big guy. So now we find out, to study in these emails, that super chairman is actually Che Feng. Feng is the son-in-law of Dai Xinglong, a high-ranking Chinese Communist Party official. Bang. So all these ties are tied to some of the highest-ranking officials in the Communist Party. Hunter Biden also entered into an agreement with the Chinese businessman Jonathan Lee to create BHR partners. Remember that? You heard the BHR come up before. This was in June of 2013. And Sherwin met with Vice President aides in March and May of the same year. So Margaret Campbell, she's a former special assistant to Joe Biden. And she said that he did financial stuff for the family, but that's really all I know. It would make sense if he stopped into the White House. Just as a side note, folks, by the way, if you're not working at the White House, if you don't have a government position that requires you to go to the White House for your office or for regular briefings or something like that. If you have 19 visits to the White House, that's a lot. I'm not talking about people who you can go take a tour and all that. I'm talking about when you go through the other door, when you get the badge, when you're cleared by Secret Service to walk around the administrative, the West Wing, when you're at the
2
White
minutes.
House for, meetings. 19 times is huge. People usually go to the White House once, maybe twice, probably in their life, even if they're active, right? So 19 visits is huge for this guy. So just get that in perspective. And it shows Campbell met with Sherwin in February of 10. He also met with Biden's director of administration, right, in 13. He also met with Betsy Messe. She was assistant to Joe Biden and wife of Robert Walker. Walker is another business associate of Hunter Biden's. And the note on that says for tour the West Wing tour, okay? But most of the descriptions of why Sherman was there are blank. Not just at the White House, but the other locations. And that's not typical. Usually they require you to put a purpose for the meeting and why you're there. Hunter Biden also appeared at the White House regularly, attending a state dinner from Obama for French President Francois Hollande in February 2014. He visited with Michael Strasimus, Chief of Staff to the White House, Senior Advisor. Remember Valerie Jarrett? Right? She was the one Roseanne mentioned in a tweet, lost the show and everything too. Hunter Biden is currently facing federal investigation over his tax filings, which insiders say has widened to include potential money laundering and lobby law violations. His former business partners have reportedly been cooperating with the government, the feds. So we'll see what happens, folks. Remember Tony Bebelinsky? I think we should hear from him again. He had a lot to say, and he got shut up and squashed. Well, that will wrap up Monday's edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the AM 830 studios. I'm Joe Mangiacotti. Hey, enjoy this beautiful day. Back on Wednesday at 1.
This is Full Service Radio, AM 830, WCRN, Worcester, Metro West.